right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the GumTV GSL Code S semifinals. Yes, that's right, this is the semifinals. We're tied at 1-1 right now. GanZI is that player on the right, MVP on the left. The person between those two to win 2 more games will be going to the finals in Anaheim. They will be flying to California to participate in the finals at BlizzCon, and that is almost as much of a prize as getting into the finals itself, man. That is actually pretty cool to be able to go overseas to BlizzCon to participate.
Yeah, of course. Both these guys have been overseas before and have done quite well, and I'm sure whichever one of them goes to the finals will show us some exciting matches.
Indeed.
Our next map is going to be Terminus. We're going to jump into that very soon here. Will GanZI tie it up, or will MVP pull ahead? Let's find out in GSL Code S.
All right. Props to the sponsors once again. They make it possible for this player here to be down at the bottom of the map.
I am MVP.
I actually misspoke earlier. I said tie it up, but actually it's already tied up.
That's all right. We knew what you mean.
Yeah.
We knew what you meant, rather. And there he is. MVP. Actually got to the round of 8 of Ro4 tournament before switching over. And here is his opponent.
GanZI wins. He'll probably run into the booth of MVP and tie him up quite literally. And then when the next game starts, then of course GanZI will be able to win because MVP won't be able to mine or do anything.
Yep, because it'll be tied up.
Yeah, that's
what you meant.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. GanZI, of course, is an okay Brood War player as well, by the way. He's been on stage in Brood War tournaments as well, although just in the very low levels or in Pro League.
Now, a gas first was made by GanZI, and these are really good positions for Cloak Banshees, for example, if that's what he's got in mind.
Huh. And he's putting his barracks in a interesting position. It's over off to the left of his base. I'm kind of curious, is he maybe planning on floating it over into the middle of the map so he can put some pressure on with early Marines while he techs?
He may have he has several options. He may have different ideas. He may want to use that to make an add-on for a factory he's planning on building over there. There's all sorts of opportunities he can have. And
no, that's true.
No matter what he's doing, he's going to be very happy with these positions. He's also going to be very happy with the fact that a command center is being made by MVP right now. He's actually gone 1 barracks into command center. Now, GanZI has actually made his factory on the other side of his base, so now it's going to be very difficult for MVP to scan or get an SCV in to find out what's going on. So what GanZI has done here is put his buildings on 2 different positions, and he can choose whichever one he wants for the starport based on where his opponent spawns. So when he finds out where his opponent is, he's going to use that tech lab on the barracks to make his starport most likely.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I was a little bit puzzled. Yeah, he could have also gone in to put the factory next to it and then gone for like a drop or something like that. Drop Hellions. But he is going to, in fact, make the starport on the tech lab like the barracks made, like just like you said.
Yeah. He had 2 different places, 2 different possibilities. And there goes the starport. Only 1 gas, so we're not going to see Cloak, but this Banshee expand could be quite good against someone who's spawned at these positions and also someone who has gone for 1 barracks command center, because with good Banshee micro, a Banshee can beat almost infinity Marines on its own.
Yep, Banshee outranges Marines by 1, and especially when you have kind of open space that you go off into. And hold on to that thought, GanZI's Hellion stops the SCV from getting into his base, so no scouting at all for MVP.
He was able to see that the tech has been taken, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, he saw the Hellion, but...
Yeah, he knows that it's not a 1 barracks expand. He knows it's not a command center first. He knows he's going to have to play a little bit defensively here. He's going to want to make a Viking first, absolutely, from his starport.
MVP doesn't even have a starport yet, though, is the thing.
No, he does not. And
just finished his factory, and what's he going to do? Is he going to make a starport at all?
There he goes.
There he goes. Okay.
Scans.
There we go. He
does not see the starport.
We're like saying the same thing at the same time. We're not We haven't casted enough yet that we can say the same thing at the same time like Taste Ghost's GSL. And here's the Hellion putting some pressure on, seeing what's going on in MVP's base, sees a few Marines.
Yeah, I wanted to put a little bit of pressure on those Marines, but decided to get out.
And especially, I mean, I'm surprised he didn't put a little bit more pressure on, because if he can hit a line of Marines with a Hellion, they're softened up for that Banshee to kill them faster as well.
Very true. Now that Banshee is moving out right now, and the Tech Lab has been switched onto the factories, which is immediately going into Blue Flame. And the Marines are actually not in the right position here.
Very interesting.
He's going to take out an SCV or two before engaging those Marines. Not the best control here by GanZI, actually taking a lot of damage on that Banshee.
Oh, wow.
That's good control there for you.
That was good control, even bothering to take a couple pot shots behind that Banshee, which was pretty dangerous move, because if he pauses for a moment, oh, this Viking might finish it off, though. He's going to find it.
Is he going to find it? Doesn't look like he's going to find it.
Oh. Not quite.
Not quite.
Not yet, at least. And those Marines are going to be able to stop that Viking from hunting down the Banshee, but he does scout that the factory's been moved to the Tech Lab, so that's important. He knows that Blue Flame is going on right now. Well, I guess it could be Siege Mode too.
Yeah, of course, that's what MVP is going to be wondering right now. GanZI was able to secure his natural during all of this, so showing some pretty good multitasking. He's actually added 2 barracks in his main as well, so he's getting a lot more Marines out. He's probably going to follow up his Blue Flame with Marine Tank. In most cases, when you do this Banshee type of opening, it's oftentimes followed up with a Siege Tank timing attack off of one base, some SCVs, and, you know, it indicates, oh, I'm going to push you, I'm going to do a lot of damage. So right now, MVP is making a bunker at home, he's making a wall off, he's got his own Banshee, and...
Now I see what's going on. We just saw the medevac carrying 3 Hellions, so he's going for a Blue Flame Hellion drop, and then he's going to fall. Why is he sending that injured Banshee into battle? I'm not sure.
Let's do a little bit more scouting with this Banshee, it looks like. That Banshee is very injured.
That was a little puzzling.
Oh,
he distracted him.
And here
so
come
the
the Hellions.
Come in. Oh, and he bunches up the SCVs. So he's getting a lot more hits on them. Is he going to be able to... Oh, he does not get that last shot, which would have killed 3 or 4 more SCVs.
Before the patch, that would have done a lot more damage.
Yep.
Banshee cloaks here, and this is not what GanZI is expecting.
No. It's like what we were talking about before. I don't remember if it was you or Doa actually talking about this later cloaked Banshee after expand catches people off guard.
It's a very, very common tactic. It's becoming more common as time goes on. He's actually going to target down this Tech Lab, which isn't currently researching anything, but even so, almost gets that Banshee, and now he's just arranging those Marines, arranging the scan. Oh,
he targets the wrong Banshee. Was the closer one. Maybe he didn't have a chance to target it before it fired.
Well, right now, GanZI, since he powered up to those barracks earlier, has a lot of units. Right now, it's 85 supply to 66. Oh, there is a bunker there. There's 2 Banshees back at home with Cloak for MVP to help defend. MVP smartly makes a 3rd command center here, but he's not going to be able to use that until he destroys the debris. 1 Banshee spotted the watchtower. So now MVP has 3 Cloak Banshees out, so that's going to be very useful for him. It's only 10 supply down now, and I don't think this push from GanZI is going to do the damage he wants it to do. He doesn't have siege mode quite yet, but he's going to catch these Hellions, and that's pretty helpful.
Nice. Takes minimal damage. His units were not clumped up. But yeah, those 3 Banshees are going to do major damage. GanZI doesn't have any Raven or anything like that, so he's going to have to scan.
Yeah, he's going to have to scan. He does have Vikings. Interestingly here, he's going to land these Vikings. GanZI has positioned his unit-producing structures pretty far back. These Vikings are still landed. Does lift them up and scans. He's going to target down the Banshees. Actually goes to the Viking first, but there are too many Vikings, and it looks like this push has failed, and GanZI, with all of his units on 1 hotkey, moves his siege tanks around, does not save them or pull them back with the medevac, losing both of his tanks there. And this is yet again another failed timing attack by GanZI against MVP.
Yeah, this is unfortunate. He does have siege mode and is putting down a turret. Medevac barely
ward
stays
off
alive.
the Banshee. He needs that turret up to help deal with these Banshees. He also wants to have it to help the Vikings as well. He's going to try to go for this bunker. I'm not sure if he should be doing this.
Both Banshees are out of energy, so they're not going to be able to cloak for a little bit longer. And GanZi's not done yet. He's still pushing this home. He's still trying to push this attack and make it work.
This is just not working out for him, though. The Banshees taking out the siege tank, the SCV building, the turret has gone down. The turret will never finish. It's canceled.
Yeah.
Not looking good for GanZI here. His opponent just has much better tech. He's actually cleaning up this entire push right now.
Yeah, out come the Hellions, and that is going to finish off any sign of that push working. Another siege tank comes in. He might be able to get some damage done and stop the counterattack.
Yeah, that one tank did kind of ward off the attack for now, but if MVP wants, he can use the Banshees to now harass, or he can go and attack that army that's still out in the middle of the map, and it looks like he is going to go for the harass option. Oh, he's trying to decide if he wants to. He is going to send them now.
Yep, there they go. And yeah, GanZI's rallying all of his units forward, so he doesn't have anything back there to deal with this.
He does have one turret, but that's it.
Starboard is in the middle of making an add-on, so he can't even build a Viking right now. Tech Lab's going to go down on the factory.
Yeah, it's not looking good for GanZI. Now his SCVs are going to be under fire. He can actually kill any siege tank that comes out of that factory as well. Cloaks to avoid these units, but he is too close to the turret. He's going to pull back. Now he's going to kill a ton of Marines. GanZI, man, he is just in trouble. MVP outplaying him at every turn here today.
Pretty much.
Taking out so many Marines.
Oh, yeah, tons of Marines going out to cancels. Oh no, and then the cloak runs out. So he's going to be forced back, finally. Those Banshees seem to have tons of energy. They kept cloaking and decloaking over and over again. But GanZI, he's only about, well, actually he's now about 20 supply behind, so he's definitely behind. GanZI's going to take his third at about the same time as MVP, though, so he's not too far behind. The game is not over by any means.
No, it's not. And GanZI's command center is just a little bit behind. They're both going to drop that command center down to third around the same time. So, of course, that part of the game is very similar with these two players. Their third base timing is very similar here. And the gases are up already for MVP. So he's just a little bit ahead in that regard. Right now, I'll give you guys some unit numbers. For MVP, he's got 55 SCVs, 10 Hellions, 2 Banshees, 4 Vikings, and 8 Siege Tanks. Now 9 with 7 Marines. His opponent has 2 Vikings, 3 Siege Tanks, and 42 Marines. So he's got a lot of Marines, but with that many Siege Tanks out, they're not going to be very useful. And GanZI just 2 SCVs down.
Yeah, we're seeing GanZI go for this Marine tank play, but MVP is meching hard. He's got a lot more tanks, and that tank count difference is really the main thing that's going to affect the battle. The Hellions
and the Vikings. Oh, he's going to attack now before this gets fortified. I'm not sure if this is the best way to attack. With all these Hellions doing damage to the Marines, it's going quite well for him, and all the tanks for GanZI do fall. Now the missile turrets look pretty wimpy and undefended.
Yeah. Random missile turret just waiting to die. And die at will to those tanks.
It looks like GanZI's going to want to try to just avoid this force and go for a drop into the main, but it leaves his main relatively undefended. He's only got 1 siege tank, 4 Vikings, and a handful of Marines back there, and that's not going to be enough to hold the attack. Here comes the drop, though.
Not. He's just desperately hoping to force MVP back to his base, but it's not going to happen. MVP is setting up a tank to reinforce him. MVP is just going to charge in. Hellions leading the way to soak up the damage. Siege tank, siege up, and boom! Everything dies on GanZI's side in 2 volleys. And that is going to be GG.
GG. Even the drop cleaned up by a siege tank and blue flame Hellions. MVP, man, he just does not lose to those timing attacks by GanZI. And GanZI's timing attacks in these last 2 games have just looked flimsy, to put it quite honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, they did not really prove very effective at all. They were kind of a good idea, but MVP was just on top of it. His macro was just too good.
He saw them coming, too, I feel like.
That too.
And so he had a bunker ready. He had his buildings placed in his main where the tanks on the low ground could not hit them. They could only hit the side of the tech lab on one of the factories. And that was it. And, you know, if you can hold your ramp to where the siege tanks can't siege up to where they're hitting your ramp, then you'll be in okay shape. And he was able to push them back and do that. GanZI did some weird things with his Vikings when he was moving up to attack. He lost a lot of those. And the Banshees were shooting at his Viking before his Vikings even engaged the Vikings of MVP.
Yeah.
And then he couldn't win the air battle there, and the Banshees were able to kill a lot of retreating units. And that's the one thing MVP did extremely well, is he kept those 3 Banshees alive for so long, and then they became 2 Banshees eventually, but he was able to chase reinforcements, hold off attacks, and harass mineral lines with those Banshees.
Yeah, it did come, and you're right, it did basically come down to that one attack. Once GanZI failed with that timing attack, he was just so far behind. He was just too much behind. He couldn't really catch up again after that. So GanZI loses game number 3. MVP is now 1 game away from clinching his spot in the finals. I think that's what a lot of people expected, but I think GanZI is putting up a much better fight than people expected as well.
I think so too. We saw in the first game him hold off an all-in from MVP when he was working on his own sort of unique strategy. Then the second and third game, he opened, in a unique way. The second game, I should say, he went Command Center first, and then that last game, he went for a Banshee expand. His Banshees, though, did not do very much damage, and he didn't kill very many Marines. Most people would have killed more Marines with that attack.
That was crucial, too, that his Banshee didn't really do any damage. Got a few SCVs and got out, and that was pretty much it. Next map is going to be Tal'Darim Altar, another very large map. Would not be surprised to see a even more macro-oriented game this game around, since that last game both of them kind of tried to do some timings. They both went for Banshees. Not sure if we're going to see that on this map. Although Banshees are pretty good against expansions on this map too, so we'll see. Anyway, GanZI needs to win this game or he will be eliminated. We're going to find out if he can pull it off here at the GSL Code S semifinals.